coach, and I just got back from EntreLeadership, a Dave Ramsey event, and we were down in Orlando at Disney World. And I think before we get started, I want to kind of set this tone. The theme of the conference was create. And when Disney World opened up, one of the reporters was asking Roy, Walt's brother, hey, what is it like to not have your brother here? Wouldn't it be awesome for him to see it? Because Walt had passed 5 years prior to this opening. He said, if Walt hadn't seen it first, we wouldn't be here to see it now. And the whole conference was just all about creating. And most of it's actually been created. It's just seeing what's already there. And there were so many great themes talking about like how Star Trek actually has a flip phone in their hand 30 years, or the Jetsons, or Knight Rider had AI driving cars and everything. It was just really crazy that a lot of stuff has actually been created through creativity. We just never took it very seriously. And so my greatest takeaway was to have a childlike curiosity. And I've always said this, that your children, given a magic wand, can be more creative and more detailed and intentional than most adults, because we have limiting belief, we have a singular perspective. And so today, and a couple other lessons that you guys hear, are all about different perspectives of creating your own future. And so I've been to Ramsey now 3 years in a row, and I don't just go for the content, I go for the connection. I have some really close friends, and y'all, you can thank Courtney Twist. She was in the room on year one, and she said, Robert, you're a Maxwell guy, you must be a Maxwell coach. And I said, well, I'm now an executive Maxwell coach. I get to go to Maxwell's house, and it's all because of the connection, not just the content. And so I encourage you guys to get into the rooms that align with your purpose, passion, and values. I talk about your one word. And so my one word for the year, Brad, is qualify. And so to qualify, what brings me joy, and what brings me joy is getting around people who are thinking further into the future. And so this theme landed really well. What I love, though, is Dave Ramsey always kicks us off and always closes us. His theme was create. So he was talking about the wave. You either create the wave, you're crushed by the wave, or you ride the wave. And you can't just be all the time a creator. You can't always be a rider, because when you're riding the wave, there's a small pocket. And if you're constantly creating, then you might not let things compound, right? And I love the saying, when we create something, it's created twice, first in our mind and then in reality. And then he goes on to say, and if we don't create it in our mind, it's really, really messy and never works. It's like when we don't put our thought into anything, we just go after it, which I think there's some level of just go for it. And he finished, so he started with creating, and then he finished with a huge talk on disruption. And I wanted to share this story, and I think this is the lesson that I want you guys to take away. About 100 years ago, actually it was more than that. It was in the 1800s. A gentleman lived in New York, and he loved to travel. And back in the 1800s, people didn't travel, and he went down the Caribbean, but he never had ice. So he went back to New York, and he's like, I'm going to sell ice to the Caribbeans. So he sent a ship down there, and only had about 15% of the ice remaining. He's like, this isn't going to work. So he invented insulation in these ships, and he got about 60% of the ice down to the Caribbean. Outstanding. Well, what happened was in 1927, the refrigerator came out. So basically, he made ice blocks that went into ice chests or ice coolers for a bunch of years. In 1927, the electricity was common, and you could plug in this refrigerator. So he had a decision. Nobody needed ice blocks anymore. He said, we could just chip up the ice. We make bagged ice. And those people who did that actually ended up starting 7-Eleven. They have 85,000 locations, and bagged ice is a $5 billion industry. And so when you take the concept of an ice block turned into simply just chipping it up into pellet ice or pillow ice or whatever else, and you become a 7-Eleven, I mean, you are a true innovator, a true disruptor. And so there's a ton of stories. So if you guys are struggling, you say, you don't understand my market, or I haven't come up with a new idea, kill the sacred cow, right? Kill the sacred cow. There's a better idea out there. Burn the boats. And so go back and do research on 7-Eleven, because what happened was they were storing all these ice blocks, and they're like, well, we have this cold storage, we might as well store some perishable items like small amounts, eggs and fruits, and they're like, we could put this in convenience stores. But Sears, same thing. When mail became popular, Sears was like, oh, cool, we can ship magazines to people. Well, then cars were invented. Nobody wanted to stay at home anymore, so they had to create locations for people to go to, because people were just excited to drive. So Sears had to create locations for people to go to. There's just so many other incredible stories about how some people chose to be a territory taker. They killed their sacred cow, and some people held on to their sacred cow. And so I want to encourage everybody to create space for invention, for creation. And he asked this question, oh my gosh, that room got quiet. And we're going to end on this. Have you ever come up with a great idea at work? No! Take more breaks. I've never come up with a great idea at work. It's always happened in pause. So that's my takeaway. And I took a little extra longer than I wanted to in this one, because I wanted to set the tone for the next 3 leadership lessons that I took away from EntreLeadership. So be sure to check back, tune in, and go give us a follow.